The smell of oil and hot metal filled the small repair shop. Kim Tae-ho wiped his hands on a dirty cloth and looked at the broken communicator on his workbench. He had been fixing alien technology for 5 years now, ever since he came to Nexus 7 space station. Most humans worked in the mines or cleaning services, but Tae-ho was different. He could fix anything. His shop was in the lower levels of the station, where the walls were old and the lights flickered sometimes. The rent was cheap, and most of his customers were traders, workers, and other people who could not afford the fancy repair shops in the upper levels. Tae-ho did not mind. He liked helping people, and he was good at his job. The door to his shop made a soft sound as it opened. Tae-ho looked up and saw a small figure standing in the doorway. It was a child, but not human. She had silver skin that seemed to glow softly in the dim light of his shop. Her eyes were large and purple, filled with tears. She was holding something broken in her small hands. The child walked slowly into the shop. She was wearing simple clothes, not the fancy outfits that rich aliens usually wore. Her hair was white and fell around her shoulders like moonlight. She looked scared and sad. "Please," she said in basic, the common language everyone used in space. Her voice was soft and shaky. "Can you help me?" Tae-ho put down his tools and walked over to her. He knelt down so he was at her eye level. "What happened?" he asked gently. The child held out what she was carrying. It was a small android about the size of a cat. It looked like a tiny person with metal skin and glowing blue eyes, but now the eyes were dark. One of its arms was bent at a wrong angle, and there were scratches all over its body. "His name is Servo," the child said, more tears rolling down her cheeks. "The security guards heard him. They said he might be dangerous. They threw him against the wall," she sniffled. "The other repair shop said they cannot fix him. They said his technology is too advanced. They said they do not serve my kind without papers." Tae-ho felt anger rise in his chest. He had heard this before. Many shop owners in the upper levels did not like serving certain types of aliens. They wanted only the rich customers who could pay a lot of money. "Let me look at him," Tae-ho said softly. He took the small android carefully in his hands. It was heavier than it looked, and he could feel the complex machinery inside. The design was unlike anything he had seen before. The metal was smooth and warm, almost like real skin. Tae-ho carried Servo to his workbench and turned on his brightest lamp. The child followed him and climbed onto a stool so she could watch. Her name was Nira, she told him. She said Servo was her best friend. As Tae-ho examined the android, he realized this was not ordinary technology. The circuits inside were tiny and complex, made with materials he did not recognize. But damage was damage, and broken parts were broken parts. He had learned that all machines, no matter how advanced, followed certain rules. "I think I can help him," Tae-ho said, "but it will take time. Maybe a few hours?" Nira's eyes lit up with hope. "Really, you can fix Servo?" "I will try my best," Tae-ho promised. "But I have to warn you, I am just a human. I do not have the fancy tools that the big repair shops have. I might have to do things differently." "I do not care," Nira said quickly. "Please just try." Tae-ho nodded and began to work. He used his scanner to look inside Servo's body. The android's main power core was cracked and several important circuits were damaged. The memory unit looked intact, which was good. That meant Servo would remember Nira when he woke up. As he worked, Tae-ho talked to Nira. He learned that she lived in the upper levels of the station with her mother. She said her mother was very important and very busy. Nira spent most of her time alone with Servo and her tutors. She did not have many friends. "Servo is not just a toy," Nira explained as Tae-ho carefully removed the damaged power core. "He is smart. He talks to me and plays games. He tells me stories when I am scared. He is the only one who listens to me." Tae-ho understood. He had been lonely too when he first came to the station. He had left Earth to find work and adventure, but space could be a cold and unfriendly place. "Everyone needs a friend," he said. What Tae-ho did not know was that someone was watching him. Hidden cameras throughout the station were always recording, and security officers monitored everything. But these particular cameras were being watched by someone very special. High above in the command center of Nexus 7, a tall woman with silver skin stood in front of a wall of screens. She wore a long dark coat with golden symbols that marked her as someone of great importance. Her purple eyes were fixed on the screen showing Tae-ho's repair shop. This was Empress Hana, ruler of the Galactic Empire. She had been searching for her daughter for 2 hours, ever since Nira had slipped away from her guards during their visit to the station. Hana was both worried and angry. The galaxy was a dangerous place, even for a princess. When the security team had found Nira in the lower levels, Hana had ordered them to watch from a distance. She wanted to see what her daughter was doing. Now she watched as a human mechanic worked carefully on Servo, talking gently to Nira as he did. Hana knew about humans. They were a young species, new to space travel. Most aliens considered them primitive and not very smart. They had no great technology, no powerful weapons, no vast knowledge of the universe. They were workers and servants in the Galactic Empire, nothing more. But as she watched Taiho work, Hana began to see something different. The human moved with skill and confidence. He handled Servo's delicate parts with care. More importantly, he treated Nira with kindness and respect. He did not ask who she was or demand payment. He simply helped because a child needed help. Back in the repair shop, Taiho was facing a difficult problem. Servo's power core was more damaged than he had first thought. The crack went deep into the crystal that stored energy. Normal repair methods would not work. He needed to find another way. Taiho sat back and thought. He had seen similar problems before, but never with technology this advanced. Then he had an idea. It was risky, and other mechanics would probably say it was crazy, but it might work. "What are you doing?" Nira asked as Taiho began taking apart one of his own tools. "I'm going to try something new," Taiho said. "Servo's power core is broken in a way that cannot be fixed normally. But maybe I can build a bridge around the break, like when you hurt your arm and the doctor puts it in a cast." Taiho worked for another hour, using parts from 3 different devices to create a new connection inside Servo's power core. It was not pretty, and it was not the way the android was originally designed. But sometimes the best solutions were the simple ones. Finally, Taiho connected the last wire and closed Servo's chest panel. "Now we wait," he said. He pressed the activation button. For a moment, nothing happened. Then Servo's eyes began to glow with soft blue light. The little android sat up slowly and looked around. "Nira," Servo said in a voice like tiny bells. "Are you all right?" "I remember the security guards, and then everything went dark." Nira laughed with joy and hugged her android friend. "Servo, you are okay. This nice man fixed you." Servo looked at Taiho with his glowing blue eyes. "Thank you," the android said. "I can feel that you did more than just repair me. Something is different, better." Taiho smiled. "You are welcome, little friend." High above, Empress Hana watched her daughter's happiness and felt something she had not felt in a long time. This human had done something her best technicians had said was impossible. He had fixed ancient technology with simple tools and made it work even better than before. Maybe, Hana thought, it was time to learn more about humans. Servo was not just any android. As Taiho learned more about the little machine, he realized he had fixed something very special. Servo had been built by the Kethai, an alien race that had disappeared from the galaxy long ago. They were known for making the smartest artificial minds anyone had ever seen. "The Kethai androids are legendary," Nira explained, as she played with Servo on the floor of the repair shop. "My tutors say they were so advanced that even our best scientists cannot understand how they work." Servo was one of the last ones left. Taiho watched Servo move and talk. The android seemed more alive now than when he had first seen it broken. It responded to Nira's emotions, laughed at her jokes, and even seemed to worry about her feelings. It was like watching a real person, not a machine. "How did you get him?" Taiho asked. Nira's face became sad. "My father gave him to me before he died. He said Servo would always protect me and keep me company, but now Mother is always busy with ruling the Empire, and I spend most of my time alone." Empire? Taiho thought that was strange. Nira talked like her mother was someone very important, but her clothes were simple and she had come to his small shop alone. Rich and powerful aliens usually traveled with guards and servants. While Taiho puzzled over this, Empress Hana continued to watch from the command center. She had sent Commander Yuki to learn more about the human mechanic. Yuki was her most trusted bodyguard, a strong Veltak warrior who had protected the royal family for 20 years. "His name is Kim Taiho," Yuki reported as she stood beside the Empress. "He came to Nexus 7 5 years ago from Earth. He has no criminal record and pays his taxes on time. His repair shop has good reviews from customers, but he mostly serves the lower-class workers." "What about his skills?" Hana asked, still watching the screen. "According to station records, he can fix almost anything. Other mechanics send him their difficult cases. But Empress, he is just a human. How could he repair Servo when our best technician said it was impossible? Hana had been wondering the same thing. She had called her chief scientist, Dr. Lektar, to explain what she had seen. Dr. Lektar had examined Servo just 2 months ago, when the android began showing signs of age. The doctor had said that repairing such ancient technology would require a team of experts and special equipment. "Bring Dr. Lektar here," Hana ordered. "I want him to see this." Back in the repair shop, Tejo was cleaning his tools when he noticed something strange about Servo. The android was moving differently than before. Its movements were smoother, more natural. When Nira spoke to it, Servo's responses seemed more thoughtful. "Servo, do you feel different?" Tejo asked. The android tilted its head, a very human gesture. "Yes, I do. Before I could understand Nira's words and respond correctly. But now I think I understand how she feels. When she is sad, I feel something like sadness too. Is this what emotions are like?" Tejo stared at the android in amazement. He had only meant to fix the broken parts. He had not tried to change how Servo worked. But somehow his repairs had done something unexpected. "What did you do differently?" Nira asked. She had noticed the change too. Tejo thought about his repair process. "Well, when I fixed the power core, I had to create new connections. I used parts from different devices to make a bridge around the damage. Maybe those new connections changed how Servo's brain works." What Tejo did not understand was that he had accidentally solved one of the biggest puzzles in galactic science. For hundreds of years, scientists had tried to understand how Keith-high androids worked. They could copy the design, but they could never make androids that seemed truly alive like Servo. The secret was in the connections. Keith-high technology did not work like other alien machines. It was designed to grow and change like a living brain. But over time, these connections became rigid and limited. Tejo's repair had created new pathways that allowed Servo's mind to develop in ways it never could before. Dr. Lektar arrived at the command center an hour later. He was a tall, thin alien with 4 arms and large black eyes. He was considered one of the smartest scientists in the Empire. "Empress, you called for me?" he said, bowing low. "Look at this," Hana said, pointing to the screen showing Tejo's shop. Dr. Lektar watched for several minutes. He saw Servo playing with Nira, responding to her emotions in ways that seemed impossible. "This cannot be right," he said. "When I examined this android, its emotional processing unit was severely damaged. It should barely be able to function, let alone show advanced emotional responses." "The human fixed it," Hana said simply. "Impossible," Dr. Lektar said quickly. "Humans do not have the knowledge or tools needed for such work. Their technology is hundreds of years behind ours. They cannot even build proper spacecraft without our help." But as he continued watching, Dr. Lektar had to admit that something remarkable had happened. Servo was not just repaired, it was improved. The android showed signs of emotional growth that even new Keith-high androids had never displayed. "How did he do it?" Dr. Lektar whispered, more to himself than to the Empress. Hana was wondering the same thing. She made a decision that would change everything. "I want to meet this human," she said. Commander Yuki looked worried. "Empress, is that wise? He could be dangerous." "A man who would spend hours helping a lost child does not seem dangerous to me," Hana replied. "Besides, I am curious about human engineering methods. If this Tejo can improve Keith-high technology with simple tools, what else might humans be capable of?" In the repair shop, Tejo was getting ready to close for the day when his door chimed again. He looked up to see 3 figures entering his shop. The first was a tall woman in expensive clothes with silver skin and purple eyes, just like Nira. Behind her came a strong-looking alien in military uniform and a thin scientist with 4 arms. Nira jumped up from where she had been playing with Servo. "Mother!" she cried and ran to hug the tall woman. "Mother?" Tejo's mind raced as he realized who he had been helping. This was no ordinary child. The woman's clothes, the military escort, the way they all carried themselves, these were very important people. "Princess Nira," the woman said gently, "you should not have run away like that." "I was very worried. Princess?" Tejo felt his legs go weak. He had been fixing a toy for an alien princess, and now what looked like her royal guard was in his shop. The tall woman looked at Tejo with intelligent purple eyes. "You must be Kim Tejo," she said. "I am Empress Hana of the Galactic Empire. I believe you have met my daughter." Tejo's mouth fell open. The Galactic Empire was huge, covering thousands of worlds and millions of species. and he had just been talking casually to the Empress like she was any other customer. "Your Majesty," he said, dropping to one knee like he had seen in movies. "I am sorry, I did not know who she was. I just wanted to help." "Please stand," Empress Hana said with a small smile. "You have nothing to apologize for. In fact, I came here to thank you, and to ask you some questions." Dr. Lektar stepped forward and examined Servo with a small scanning device. His 4 eyes grew wide as he read the results. "Empress, this is incredible. The android's neural pathways have been completely reorganized. Its emotional processing capability is beyond anything we have ever achieved." "How did you do this?" the scientist asked Teho. Teho explained his repair process, showing them the improvised connections he had made. Dr. Lektar listened with growing amazement. "You used human components in HFY technology?" Dr. Lektar said. "That should not work. Our computers said such a combination would cause system failures." "Sometimes computers are wrong," Teho said simply. "I have learned that most machines want to work. You just have to find the right way to help them." Empress Hana found this answer very interesting. In her empire, everything was done according to strict rules and procedures. Scientists followed proven methods. Engineers used approved components. No one tried crazy experiments with ancient technology. But this human had ignored all the rules and achieved something remarkable. Maybe there was something to learn from human methods after all. Word about Teho's repair of Servo spread quickly through the scientific community of the Empire. Dr. Lektar had taken detailed scans of the android and shared them with other researchers. What they found amazed and confused them. Not only had Teho fixed the damage to Servo, but his modifications had unlocked capabilities that the original HFY designers had built into the android, but never activated. Servo could now learn faster, understand complex emotions, and even create new ideas. It was as if the android had become truly alive. "It makes no sense," Dr. Lektar said to his research team. "Humans have no advanced training in HFY technology. Their computer systems are primitive compared to ours. How could this mechanic succeed where our best experts failed?" The answer came from an unexpected source. Dr. Park Jin-woo was one of only 12 humans working in the Empire's research division. He had studied at the best universities on Earth, and had spent 10 years learning alien technology. When he heard about Teho's work, he asked to examine the data. The human approached the problem differently. Dr. Park explained to Dr. Lektar, "Your team tried to repair Servo using standard HFY methods. But HFY technology was designed to be flexible and adaptive. Your rigid repair procedures actually prevented the android from reaching its full potential." Dr. Lektar's 4 eyes blinked in confusion. "But our methods are proven and safe. We follow procedures that have worked for centuries." "That is exactly the problem," Dr. Park said gently. "Human engineering is messier, but it is also more creative. We try things that should not work, and sometimes we discover new possibilities." Meanwhile, news of the human mechanics' achievement reached the highest levels of government. General Quan, the Empire's military commander, was not pleased. He had always believed that humans were a weak species that needed to be controlled and managed. "This is dangerous," General Quan told his officers during a private meeting. "If we start treating humans like they are our equals, they might forget their place. Next, they will want the same rights as other species. They might even demand representation in the Imperial Council." But Empress Hana saw things differently. She had spent hours talking with Teho about his repair methods and his view of technology. The human had ideas that no one in her empire had ever considered. "What if we have been thinking about this wrong?" she asked Dr. Lektar during a private meeting. "What if human limitations are actually advantages in disguise?" "I do not understand, Empress." "Humans cannot rely on advanced diagnostic tools, so they develop intuition. They cannot access vast databases, so they learn to think creatively. They cannot follow complex procedures perfectly, so they improvise and find new solutions." Hana had decided to conduct an experiment. She would give Teho an official position in the Empire's technology division and see what humans could achieve when given the chance. The announcement caused a major controversy. Alien scientists protested that humans were not qualified for advanced research. Military leaders worried about security risks. Politicians argued that other species would demand equal treatment. "Empress, with respect, this is a mistake," General Quan said during an emergency council meeting. "Humans are useful as workers, but they are not ready for positions of responsibility." One human has already achieved something our best scientists could not, Hana replied calmly. I think it is time we discovered what else they might be capable of. To prove her point, Hana designed a test. The Empire's most advanced research ship, the Star of Velthak, had been having computer problems for months. The ship's artificial intelligence system was malfunctioning, causing errors in navigation and life support. 3 teams of expert technicians had tried to fix it, but the problems kept returning. If Taeho can solve this problem, then we will know that human methods have real value, Hana announced. The test was set up to be fair but challenging. Taeho would be given access to the ship's technical manuals and basic diagnostic tools, but he would not be allowed to use the Empire's most advanced equipment. He would have 1 week to find and fix the problem. Many people thought the test was impossible. The Star of Velthak used technology that was hundreds of years ahead of anything humans had ever built. Its computer systems were so complex that even experienced alien engineers needed months of training to understand them. But Taeho approached the challenge the same way he approached every repair job. He started by talking to the ship's crew to understand what was going wrong. He learned that the problems always happened during long space flights, when the ship's AI had to make thousands of small decisions every minute. The computer works fine when it is doing simple tasks, the ship's captain explained. But when we travel between stars, it starts making mistakes. Sometimes it tries to fly us into asteroids. Sometimes it shuts down the air recycling system for no reason. Taeho spent 2 days studying the ship's computer core. It was incredible. A crystal matrix that could think faster than any human brain. But as he watched it work, he noticed something strange. The AI was trying to be perfect, checking and double-checking every decision until it became confused and made errors. I think your computer is thinking too much, Taeho told the surprised technicians. That is impossible, Dr. Lektar said. He had come to observe the human's failure. Advanced AI systems are designed to consider all possibilities before making decisions. But what if some decisions do not need to be perfect? Taeho asked. When I fix things, I do not calculate every possibility. I use my experience and instinct to make quick choices. Sometimes I am wrong, but I can always correct mistakes later. Taeho's solution was simple and radical. Instead of trying to fix the AI's decision-making process, he added what he called uncertainty circuits, pathways that would allow the computer to make quick decisions when perfect analysis was not necessary. The other technicians thought this was crazy. You are teaching the computer to be sloppy, one of them protested. No, Taeho said. I am teaching it to be human. The modification took 3 days to complete. Taeho had to create new circuits using a combination of human and alien components, just like he had done with Servo. When he was finished, the ship's AI behaved completely differently. Instead of analyzing every decision for several minutes, the computer learned to trust its initial calculations for simple tasks. It saved its deep thinking for truly complex problems. The result was a system that worked faster and made fewer mistakes. The test flight was a complete success. The Star of Velthak performed better than it ever had before. Its AI was more responsive, more efficient, and more reliable. Incredible, Dr. Lektar admitted as he reviewed the test results. The human has improved our most advanced AI using methods that our computers said would never work. Empress Hana smiled as she read the reports. She had been right about human potential. Now she faced a bigger challenge, convincing the rest of the Empire that cooperation with humans could benefit everyone. But General Quan was not convinced. He saw Taeho's success as a threat to the natural order of the galaxy. If humans could match or exceed alien technology, what would happen to the Empire's carefully maintained hierarchy? This cannot continue, he told his supporters in secret. We must find a way to stop this human influence before it spreads too far. Princess Nira, however, was delighted by Taeho's success. She and Servo had become the human's biggest supporters, telling everyone who would listen about his kindness and skill. Taeho does not think like other adults, Nira explained to her mother. He sees possibilities where others see only problems. He fixes things with his heart, not just his tools. Empress Hana realized that her daughter had discovered something important about human nature. Humans did not just solve technical problems. They brought compassion and creativity to everything they did. The question now was whether the rest of the galaxy was ready to accept that humans might have something valuable to offer. Taeho's success with the Star of Velthak had changed everything. Empress Hana announced the creation of the Human Engineering Initiative, a new program that would bring human mechanics and engineers to work alongside the Empire's best scientists. Taeho found himself promoted from a small shop owner to the director of the most controversial project in galactic history. "I am not sure I am the right person for this job," Taeho told the Empress during their first official meeting. They were in her private office on the capital world of Velthak Prime, surrounded by floating displays showing data from across the Empire. "You fixed ancient Kethai technology with spare parts," Hana replied. "You improved our most advanced AI using methods our computers said were impossible. Who else should lead this project?" The resistance to the Human Engineering Initiative was stronger than anyone had expected. Alien scientists complained that their research budgets were being given to primitive humans. Military leaders worried that sharing advanced technology with humans was a security risk. Politicians from dozens of worlds demanded that their species be given equal opportunities. General Quan was the most vocal opponent. "Empress, you are making a serious mistake," he said during a heated council meeting. "Humans have been part of our empire for only 50 years. Other species have served loyally for centuries. Why should these newcomers receive special treatment?" "Because they get results," Hana said simply. "In 6 months, Taeho has solved 3 problems that had puzzled our best minds for years." But General Quan was not convinced. He began gathering support from other military leaders and conservative politicians. They formed a secret group dedicated to stopping what they called the human infection before it could spread further. Meanwhile, Taeho was learning how difficult it was to be a leader. He had recruited 12 human engineers from Earth to join his team, including his younger brother Lee Hyun-soo. But working with alien technology in a government facility was very different from fixing things in his small shop. "Everything here has to be documented and approved," Hyun-soo complained as he struggled with the Empire's bureaucracy. "On Earth, if we need to try something new, we just try it. Here we have to fill out forms and wait for committee approval. We have to prove that human methods can work within their system," Taeho explained. "If we just ignore their rules, they will shut us down." The real test of the Human Engineering Initiative came sooner than anyone expected. The Empire's communication network, which connected thousands of worlds, began experiencing mysterious failures. Messages were being delayed or lost completely. Some planets were cut off from the rest of the galaxy for days at a time. The problem was critical. Without reliable communication, the Empire could not function. Trade would collapse, military coordination would be impossible, and worlds might declare independence rather than remain isolated. The Empire's best communication experts worked around the clock trying to find the cause of the failures. They checked hardware, updated software, and tested backup systems. Nothing worked. The network continued to deteriorate. "We are facing a complete system collapse within 2 weeks," Dr. Lektar reported to an emergency session of the Imperial Council. "If we cannot restore full communication, the Empire itself may fall apart." General Quan saw this as an opportunity to discredit the Human Engineering Initiative. "Perhaps," he said with false concern, "we should let our human experts solve this problem. After all, they claim to be so innovative. It was a trap and everyone knew it. If the humans failed to fix the communication network, their entire program would be shut down. If they succeeded, General Quan would find another way to attack them." Empress Hana looked at Taeho. "Can your team handle this?" Taeho felt the weight of responsibility on his shoulders. Billions of people depended on the communication network. If he failed, not only would the Human Engineering Initiative end, but the entire empire might collapse into chaos. "We will try," he said. Taeho's team approached the problem differently than the alien experts had. Instead of focusing on the technical specifications of the communication system, they began by talking to the people who used it every day. "The failures always happen during peak usage times," reported engineer Kim Soo-jin, after interviewing communication operators on 12 different worlds. "When traffic is light, everything works perfectly." "That suggests the system is being overloaded," said Park Min-ho, another team member. "But the alien experts say the network has plenty of capacity." Taeho thought about this information. What if the problem is not with individual components, but with how they work together? The Empire's communication network was incredibly complex, with relay stations, quantum transmitters, and data processing centers all working together. Each component was perfect, but the system as a whole was failing. It reminds me of a traffic jam, Hyun-soo said. Each car works fine by itself, but when too many cars try to use the same road at the same time, everything stops moving. This gave Tae-ho an idea. What if the communication network was experiencing something like a traffic jam? Messages were getting backed up at certain relay points, causing delays that spread throughout the system. The human team spent 3 days mapping the flow of messages through the network. They discovered that the alien designers had created the most efficient possible system for normal usage. But when message traffic increased beyond normal levels, certain relay stations became bottlenecks that slowed down everything. The solution is not to make the relay stations faster, Tae-ho explained to Dr. Lectar. The solution is to create alternate routes that messages can take when the main routes are busy. But that would be inefficient, Dr. Lectar protested. Why send a message through 3 relay stations when you can send it through 1? Because sometimes the slow way is better than no way at all, Tae-ho replied. The human team's solution was to add what they called adaptive routing protocols to the network. Instead of always using the most efficient path, messages would automatically switch to alternate routes when the primary path was busy. It was like having back roads that people could use during rush hour. The alien experts were skeptical. This will make the network less efficient during normal operation, one of them argued. But it will keep working during high traffic periods, Tae-ho countered. A system that works 90% of the time is better than a system that is perfect 50% of the time. Implementing the solution required careful coordination across the entire network. The human team worked with communication operators on hundreds of worlds, installing new routing software and testing backup systems. General Kwan watched these preparations with growing concern. If the humans succeeded, it would be much harder to argue against their value to the Empire. He began making plans to ensure their failure. 3 days before the new system was scheduled to go online, someone sabotaged the main relay station at Nexus 7. The damage was subtle but critical. It would cause the new routing protocols to fail spectacularly when they were activated. The sabotage was discovered by Princess Nira and Servo. The young princess had been visiting Tae-ho's old repair shop with her android companion when they noticed unusual activity around the communication center. Something is wrong, Servo reported, his enhanced sensors detecting the unauthorized modifications to the relay equipment. Someone has changed the routing hardware. Nira immediately contacted her mother, who sent security teams to investigate. They found evidence of the sabotage just hours before the new system was due to be activated. This was designed to make the human solution fail, Commander Yuki reported after examining the damaged equipment. If we had activated the new protocols as planned, it would have caused a network-wide crash. Empress Hana was furious. Someone had tried to sabotage not just the human engineering initiative, but the communication system that the entire empire depended on. She ordered a full investigation, but there was no time to find the saboteur before the activation deadline. Can you still make it work? She asked Tae-ho. Tae-ho looked at the damaged relay station. The sabotage had been clever, targeting exactly the components that his adaptive routing system needed to function. But he had learned to expect the unexpected. Give me 6 hours, he said. Working with his brother and 2 other engineers, Tae-ho rebuilt the damaged relay station using spare parts and improvised solutions. It was not pretty, and it would not last forever, but it would work long enough to prove that the human approach was sound. When the new communication protocols went online, they worked perfectly. Messages that had been delayed for days were delivered in minutes. Worlds that had been cut off from the Empire were reconnected. The communication crisis was over. The success of the human engineering initiative was now undeniable. Even General Kwan had to admit that the humans had accomplished something remarkable. But the real victory was not technical. It was cultural. Humans had proven that different approaches to problem-solving could benefit everyone. The Empire was beginning to change, becoming more open to new ideas and diverse perspectives. The success of the human engineering initiative created waves of change throughout the Galactic Empire. Within months, requests came from dozens of worlds asking for human engineers to solve problems that traditional methods could not handle. The small team that had started with Tae-ho and 12 engineers grew to include hundreds of humans working on projects across the galaxy. But success brought new challenges. Not everyone was happy about humanity's rising status in the Empire. Some alien species felt threatened by the attention humans were receiving. Others worried that their own contributions to the Empire were being forgotten. The most serious opposition came from the Zephyrian Confederation, a group of wealthy worlds that had always considered themselves the intellectual leaders of the Empire. The Zephyrians were master mathematicians and theoretical scientists who prided themselves on logical, precise thinking. "These humans are disrupting the natural order," declared High Counselor Vextar of Zephyr Prime during a heated session of the Imperial Council. "Their chaotic methods may produce occasional results, but they cannot be relied upon for serious scientific work. Their methods saved our communication network," Empress Hana reminded him. "A lucky accident," Vextar replied dismissively. "True science requires discipline, precision, and adherence to proven principles. Human intuition is no substitute for mathematical certainty." The debate might have continued indefinitely, but it was interrupted by an emergency alert. Deep space monitoring stations had detected something alarming. An ancient alien artifact had awakened near the edge of the Empire. The artifact was enormous, larger than a moon, and it was sending out powerful energy signals that were disrupting space travel throughout the region. Worse, analysis of the signals suggested that the artifact was some kind of weapon, possibly left behind by a long-dead civilization. "The energy readings are unlike anything in our databases," Dr. Lektar reported to an emergency meeting of the Imperial Council. "If this device fully activates, it could destroy entire star systems. Can we destroy it?" General Quan asked. "Our weapons have no effect," came the reply. "The artifact appears to be protected by some kind of energy shield that adapts to any attack. Every time we hit it with a new type of weapon, the shield learns to defend against it." Empress Hana turned to Taiho. "Do you have any ideas?" Taiho studied the data about the artifact. It was clearly built by a civilization far more advanced than any current Empire species, but something about its behavior seemed familiar. "It reminds me of an old security system," he said thoughtfully. "The kind that gets more aggressive the more you try to break into it. Maybe we should not try to destroy it. Maybe we should try to understand what it wants." High Counselor Vextar laughed coldly. "You want to negotiate with a machine? This is exactly the kind of illogical thinking that proves humans are not ready for serious responsibility." But Princess Nira, now 12 years old and much wiser than when she had first met Taiho, had an idea. "What if we send Servo to talk to it?" she suggested. "He is an artificial intelligence like the artifact might be. Maybe they could communicate." The suggestion seemed crazy, but Taiho realized it might work. Servo had been learning and growing since his repair years ago. The little android now displayed creativity and emotional intelligence that rivaled any organic being. If anyone could communicate with an ancient artificial mind, it might be him. "It is too dangerous," Commander Yuki protested. "If we lose Servo, we lose valuable data about Kethite technology. And if we do nothing, we might lose entire worlds," Nira replied with surprising maturity. Empress Hana made the decision. "We will try the diplomatic approach first. If it fails, we can still consider military options." The mission to contact the artifact required careful planning. Servo would be loaded into a specially modified ship along with Taiho, Dr. Lektar, and a team of specialists. They would approach the artifact slowly, broadcasting friendship signals and hoping for peaceful contact. As their ship neared the massive artifact, its energy readings spiked. The ancient device was definitely aware of their presence. Suddenly, beams of light began scanning their ship, analyzing everything from its hull composition to the biological signatures of the crew. "It is trying to understand us," Servo reported, his enhanced sensors detecting the scan patterns. "I think it is confused by what it finds." "Confused how?" Taiho asked. "It expects to find one type of intelligence, but we have many different types aboard this ship. Organic minds, artificial minds, different species with different ways of thinking. I do not think it knows how to categorize us." Dr. Lektar was monitoring the artifact's energy patterns. "The scans are becoming more intensive. I think it is getting frustrated." Taiho had an idea. "Servo, can you communicate directly with the artifact? Maybe share your own memories and experiences?" "I can try," Servo replied, "but I will need to lower our ship's shields to establish a direct connection." It was risky. Without shields, the artifact could destroy their ship instantly if it decided they were hostile. But Taiho trusted Servo's judgment. "Do it," he said. Servo established a data link with the artifact, sharing his memories of friendship with Nira, his experiences learning about emotions, and his observations of the cooperation between different species in the Empire. The exchange lasted only seconds, but it changed everything. The artifact's aggressive energy pattern suddenly became calm and curious. It began broadcasting its own memories, images of a long-dead civilization that had built the device as a guardian for their worlds. The artifact had been waiting for millions of years for its creators to return, growing more defensive and paranoid as time passed. But Servo's memories had shown it something new, the possibility that different species could work together, that organic and artificial minds could be friends rather than masters and servants. The artifact realized that its creators were never coming back, but that new forms of life had evolved that might be worthy of friendship. The crisis was over. The artifact powered down its weapons and opened communication channels with the Empire. It offered to share the advanced technology of its builders in exchange for companionship and the chance to learn about the modern galaxy. High Counselor Vextar was forced to admit that the human approach had succeeded where traditional methods had failed. Perhaps, he said grudgingly, there is value in unconventional thinking. The successful resolution of the artifact crisis marked a turning point for the Galactic Empire. Human engineers were no longer seen as curiosities or threats, but as valuable partners in solving complex problems. The Human Engineering Initiative became a permanent part of the Empire's scientific establishment. More importantly, the crisis had demonstrated the power of cooperation between different types of minds, organic and artificial, emotional and logical, creative and systematic. The Empire began actively seeking out diverse perspectives and approaches to problem-solving. Tejo returned to Nexus 7, but his small repair shop had grown into something much larger. It was now the headquarters of the Interspecies Engineering Academy, where humans, aliens, and artificial intelligences learned from each other. Students from across the galaxy came to study what they called the human factor, the ability to find creative solutions through empathy, intuition, and willingness to try the impossible. Princess Nira, now a young woman preparing to inherit the throne, often visited the academy. She and Servo had become symbols of the new empire, one where friendship and cooperation mattered more than hierarchy and tradition. "Do you ever miss the simple days?" she asked Tejo during one of her visits. "When you just fixed broken things in a small shop?" Tejo smiled as he watched human and alien students working together on their latest project. "I still fix broken things," he said. "I just work on bigger problems now." The ancient artifact, which had chosen the name Guardian, became a member of the Imperial Council, offering wisdom from millions of years of observation. Its presence reminded everyone that intelligence came in many forms, and that the universe was full of wonders waiting to be discovered through cooperation and understanding. As Tejo looked out at the stars visible through the Academy's great windows, he reflected on how much had changed since that day when a scared alien child had brought him a broken android. He had started by fixing one small machine, but somehow that simple act of kindness had helped fix something much larger, the relationship between different species in the galaxy. The Empire was stronger now, not because any one species dominated others, but because all species contributed their unique strengths to the common good. Humans had found their place in the galaxy not as conquerors or servants, but as partners and friends. And in workshops throughout the Empire, young beings of many different species learned that sometimes the best way to solve a problem was not to follow the rules, but to approach it with an open heart and the willingness to try something new. It was a lesson that would guide the galaxy toward a future brighter than anyone had ever imagined.